In the opening scenes of the film, the eyes of a teenager appear on the screen, reflecting the sea and a yacht called Serenity. Its captain, Baker Dill, makes a living by organizing fishing trips for wealthy tourists. However, if he senses that his cherished dream, a big tuna, is about to bite, he grabs the rod himself, ignoring the client's protests. This time, Dill even reaches for a knife to make sure the client doesn't interfere with the catch, as he is convinced the fish on the line is his. But the tuna escapes, while the captain nearly weeps over the sea. Meanwhile, from the shore, a strange man in a business suit, glasses, and carrying a briefcase watches the yacht. Seeing the Serenity move, the man begins to follow it, walking directly on water. Back at the harbor, Dill's assistant, Duke, complains that the clients are right to refuse payment, to which the captain promises to cover the costs himself. He then heads to his beloved woman, Constance. She is upset that he asked everyone else for money but didn't come to her. Dill, however, inquires about her son Samson, who once brought him good luck. Unlike Duke, he even considers hiring the boy, hoping that this time the desired fish won't slip the hook. Later, Dill goes to a bar where the bartender, Jack, suggests giving the elusive tuna a name. Dill replies that it already has one, Justice. In the evening, the man visits Duke and gives him an advance, as he plans to go hunting alone in the morning. Duke prays to God to finally let the man catch his tuna. Returning home, Dill apologizes to his son, who is far away now, for not catching the fish and promises to do so. Lying in bed, he remembers the boy and their shared fishing trips. Elsewhere, the teenager looks at a photograph of his father from that very fishing trip. Morning comes. Dill drives to the port, unaware that the man in the suit and briefcase watches him from a bus. Soon, the yacht sets out to fish, but the catch consists only of small fry. Dill is furious and blames his partner for bringing bad luck. Offended, Duke leaves. Dill heads to the bar, where the bartender suggests he switch to flounder. After all, there's even a client waiting, and everyone already believes that Dill's tuna exists only in his imagination. Suddenly, Dill's ex-wife, Karen, arrives at the bar and admits that he was right. Dill agrees to speak with her in private and takes her to the yacht. Karen tells her ex-husband that all their friends knew he had been in Iraq and had earned many medals, but no one could say where he was now. She found him through a photo. The husband of one of her classmates had gone fishing with him and posted the picture online. The woman confesses that she is married to a wealthy mobster named Frank. He tortures and beats her. Their son with Dill, Patrick, escapes into a virtual reality that he creates himself. Karen offers her ex-husband money to kill Frank. His death must look like an accident during a tuna fishing trip on the yacht. Dill refuses and asks her to leave. She promises to wait for his answer at the hotel. The yacht leaves the pier as the man in the suit runs up, but he is too late to catch the boat. After fishing, Dill returns home, where Constance is waiting on the doorstep. She questions him about Karen, but Dill walks to the shore and dives into the sea. In his mind, he hears his son's voice asking him to do something. He sinks underwater and suddenly sees Patrick swimming toward him. But then shouting is heard, and Dill wakes up at the table. His hair is wet, and water has spilled on the tabletop. The same scene plays out in his son's room. Later, Frank arrives at the hotel, terrifying his wife, as he has come earlier than promised. The first thing he does is undress the woman and inspect every inch of her body. Finding a small scratch, he beats her. Later, the fishing gear shop clerk, Lois, tells Dill that Frank tortured her for an hour and a half, but she never made a sound. Dill leaves even as the woman yells after him that a guy in a suit was looking for him, a representative of a fishing gear company named Reed Miller. Dill arrives at the pier where Frank is waiting for him, frustrated by the problems that have arisen. Dill explains that his assistant quit and it's against the rules to take tourists alone. The captain sets sail just as Miller arrives, who notes that Dill departed 20 seconds earlier than expected. In the evening, Dill delivers the catch to the fish buyer, who hints that the tuna he's chasing exists only in his mind. He also tries to tell the captain about Miller, who has been looking for him, but Dill walks away without listening. He visits Constance, who suddenly brings up his ex-wife, as the whole island already knows that sooner or later, Frank will kill her. She asks him what he would choose if he had to save Karen or catch the tuna. Dill silently leaves. In the morning, Duke finds him at the pier and informs him that Frank is already waiting for him on the boat. He overheard that the mobster plans to offer Dill $10,000 just to prove that no one can refuse him. Duke decides to join him at sea because they both need money and the boat requires repairs. Dill agrees, hoping that his partner will help him resist temptation. Later, Karen reminds him of her request, telling him that their son hears him through the computer screen and knows about his promise to catch the tuna. She is certain that there is an invisible bond between the two. The yacht heads out to sea. Suddenly, Duke spots a frigate bird in the sky. Dill says he saw it over the island too, but Duke objects, pointing out that these birds only fly over the ocean. While Dill casts the fishing lines, Frank drinks, complaining about the disarray of Plymouth Island. Duke explains that the bar used to be called Hope and Anchor, but later changed its name to Anchor and Rope as a symbol of Plymouth being a hopeless place. Frank starts asking inappropriate questions about the island's residents, irritating the sailors. He then talks about his stepson, who doesn't communicate with him at all. Patrick is considered a math genius and spends all his time at the computer where someone can be seen fishing on the screen. When asked about the point of this activity, the boy once replied that if he weren't fishing all day, he would have killed his stepfather long ago. Frank changes the subject when there's a bite, but it's not the tuna, it's a white shark. Dill tries to dissuade Frank from reeling it in, insisting that he only wanted the tuna, but Frank won't listen and nearly falls overboard. Later, the boat returns to shore with the catch, where Karen is waiting at the pier. Frank boasts about catching the shark and announces that he will go out to sea again the next day. Karen gives Dill money and continues to plead with him to kill the villain, adding that this is what their son wants as he craves justice. Duke figures everything out and asks his friend to tell him the truth. Dill admits that he went to war, and when he returned, Karen was already with Frank. The boy Frank talked about is his son. Duke advises his friend to keep fishing in his mind and not to kill anyone, no matter how bad they are. Dill goes to the yacht, but his son's voice keeps echoing in his head, begging his father to save him. Suddenly, Karen arrives and says that she has thought only of him all this time and still keeps the ring he gave her when she was 16. She again pleads with him to kill Frank. This time, Dill sets a condition: she must pay him $10 million and give him their son. Karen agrees, and Dill suddenly notices the bruises on her back and feels pity for her. They grow closer, and Dill agrees to carry out the plan. After his ex-wife leaves, Dill speaks to his son, promising to do whatever it takes so Patrick can finally leave his room. Dill drives home where Reed Miller is waiting at the door. Miller offers him his company's ultra-modern product, a sonar tracker. His company wants Dill to catch the fish. Then Miller says something strange: "I am the rule." Unexpectedly, Reed also pleads with Dill not to commit the murder. Pressing the salesman against the wall, the captain demands to know the meaning behind everything he's saying. Reed admits that everything around them is a game, and he is merely playing his part in it. It's all being created by the designer, who is writing the code for one big game about Plymouth Island. When it was about catching the tuna, it wasn't so bad, but now the new game's purpose is to kill a man. Reed is troubled that the creator has changed the rules so drastically. In the morning, Dill wakes up, but despite his efforts, cannot rise before the alarm clock rings. Later, remembering Reed's words, he opens a world map. It turns out there's nothing on it but Plymouth Island. He dives into the sea, hearing a radio announcer's words in his head about how neural networks will soon replace many functions of the human brain. The captain drives toward the ocean, but suddenly stops and steps onto the road, speaking to his son about how little he remembers of his past life. He doesn't know how he ended up here, but he remembers his son and their fishing trip. That time they caught nothing, and Dill was angry about it. Maybe that's why his son made him obsessed with this cursed fish. Recently, images have surfaced in his mind of him lying dead on the sand. Suddenly, Constance's son, Samson, appears, the boy who was supposed to bring luck when fishing for the tuna. But now Dill refuses to take him along, knowing he's planning a murder and doesn't want witnesses. Dill drives off, but notices that the strange occurrences are multiplying. For example, he can't make his car move unless the traffic light turns green. Later, Lois gives Baker some bait for the tuna sent by Miller and advises him to make the right choice. Dill questions her about where they really are, but the woman merely advises him to finally catch that fish. Dill calls Miller's company, where they confirm that such an employee exists. The captain asks to convey his thanks and heads to the bar, where Jack also reminds him of the importance of rules. Meanwhile, Patrick, sitting in his room, hears his parents arguing and pulls out a knife. Karen wakes up to her son's scream and sees blood on Frank's side of the bed. At the same time, Dill tells Duke that he's heading out to sea alone today, and Duke agrees, since Frank won't be coming. Meanwhile, Karen finds a wounded Frank in the bathroom. Duke then confesses to his friend that he hired a laborer to injure Frank. Realizing the fishing trip won't happen, Dill kicks Duke out and heads to the bar, grabbing a bottle of liquor. He tells Jack that he won't go out to sea. The bartender advises him to see a doctor because the whole island has noticed his strange behavior. But Dill calls him part of the game. just like the entire island. Jack only looks at him with sympathy. Dill gets into his car and drives around the island, breaking every rule, and then starts wandering aimlessly, listening to radio messages urging him to go back and catch his fish. Meanwhile, Karen pleads with her husband to go to sea and catch the tuna. On the shore, Dill meets Reed again. They talk about the game and its creator. Dill confesses that he knows who invented this world. A teenager who wishes someone would kill his stepfather, who constantly beats his mother. So he must kill Frank, and that will be justice. Having learned the details, Reed declares that he's now on Dill's side. He also reveals that Karen convinced her husband to come to the yacht. Dill races to the pier, where Karen is waiting for him. Together, they load Frank onto the boat, and the yacht sets off. Duke, watching it leave, prays for his friend, whose mind is clouded by temptation. At sea, Dill casts the bait and lines. Suddenly, it's revealed that Samson is also on the yacht, and a frigate bird soars in the sky. Stunned, Karen pours more alcohol for her husband, while Dill sends the boy to clean up the cabin and takes his ex-wife to the bridge to come up with a new plan. Just then, the tuna bites, and Dill, unable to resist, grabs the fishing rod. At the same time, Patrick, in his room, pulls out a suitcase of fishing gear and a knife. Regaining control, Dill hands the rod over to Frank. The teenager steps out of his room with the knife. The fish tugs the line, and the wounded, drunken Frank is dragged to the ocean floor. The teenager returns to his room with the knife. Over the scene, a radio broadcast announces that the boy has been arrested for killing his stepfather, construction worker Frank Zariakas. The boy's mother claimed her son was trying to protect her from the monster. Patrick's school principal revealed that he is a computer genius, deeply immersed in the world he created, and that his biological father died in the Iraq War. Later, Dill says goodbye to Karen, who admits she wasn't lying when she said she loved only him. She knows he will meet their son. The woman disappears. Patrick is released and contacts Dill through a payphone. He confesses to doing something terrible, but his father comforts him. Patrick promises to change the game so they can meet. And indeed, everything around changes. The teenager runs to meet his father on the pier. They embrace and laugh together. The film might seem overly confusing and complex at first glance, but once you untangle its unexpected plot twists, it becomes clear that this is a story for lovers of drama and psychological thrillers. And of course, for those who want to see Matthew McConaughey in a new role.